Hello everybody, welcome back to the Soul Light Radio. Today is Wednesday, August the 1st. This is the news for today. I'm your host, John Glover. What's taking place today, guys, is the US are faking intelligence to attack Iran via Israel. This comes from an ex-CIA analyst. This gentleman is a former CIA analyst to the United States. He actually has been liaising with Israel to seek and come up with a pretext for attacking Iran. So to clarify that, basically this CIA analyst is working with Israel to come up with a plan to attack Iran. Now what's happening is they're trying to create a ploy similar to the one adopted by the United States for justifying the war on Iraq a decade ago. So what they're basically saying is, folks, they want to go to a war with Iran. They've tried sacking Syria, they've tried infiltrating the Syrian media, they've tried all sorts of stuff going on with Syria, where now they're saying that Al-Qaeda were good guys because they were fighting the Assad regime. Now they're saying go out, the US needs to go out because Al-Qaeda are terrorists again, and they should be overthrown in Iraq, in Syria, and it's all getting a bit confusing. Now what it's about is these bully boys aren't getting their way, so now they're spitting the dummy out the cot, and they're just scratching at every little bit of thing that they can do. The gentleman who's wrote this, who's the CIA analyst, this news, by the way, comes from a website called Press TV, is actually quoted as saying, as we saw 10 years ago with respect to Iraq, if one intends to whip up support for war, one needs to find a casus belli, however thin a pretext it might be. This is Ray McGovern, who wrote this in an article. How about just opposing weapons of mass destruction with terrorism that work to prepare for the war in Iraq, and similar rhetorical groundwork for an attack on Iran is now being laid in Israel, his article further read. Referring to the recent attack on the number of Israeli tourists in Bulgaria, McGovern said Netanyahu, who's the president of Israel, broke all records of speed and blaming Iran for Hezbollah and the bombing on the coach there. Now, basically, that's the thing, guys. That bombing took place, and Netanyahu was there straight away. Oh my God, it's Iran, it's Iran. This man had no proof, he had nothing. He'd responded within 2 minutes of a blast, which proves to me it was a false flag event. And we just seem to be having many false flag events these days. Moving on to other news. The British homeless rate have hit 25%. This is at the time when the Olympic Games, costing us taxpayers billions, is opening in London. Now, just to put this into perspective, we've spent billions and billions and billions on attaining the games, all of the planning we had to do, all of the stadiums we had to build, and it's great for the country. I'm not knocking that, and I'm not saying it's not a spectacular event. It is. But what I'm saying is, when you offer 27 million to Danny Boyle to open the Olympics as he does, and yeah, it's spectacular. Look, I'm human too. I appreciate what goes on, but at the same time, we've still got 25% of our citizenry sleeping on benches and floors. People are losing their jobs left, right, and centre due to illegal banking, interest rate schemes, and stuff like that. I mean, you've got a mortgage on your house. You pay interest on that in the form of an interest rate. That interest rate has been decided by dark Kabbalists who are not legally there. If they're not in their positions legally, they're there because they're in with the Masonic Rite, 33 Masonry, and they know the word Jabulon. They are there because they are there to manipulate and keep the people in servitude. So while you've been struggling and working your backside off to get your mortgage for your house, to keep a roof over your kids' heads and your family's heads, they've been adjusting that rate illegally to suit themselves. And on top of that, now when people are losing their jobs left, right, and centre, when we're in a recession, people are finding it hard to make ends meet. We're now going up in these games for billions. And the thing is, folks, as well, outside of the spectacle and of the Olympics, we're not going to break even on the price we paid to put these Olympics on. So it's in no way anywhere near beneficial to the British people. And when you also factor in that most of the companies that are sponsoring these games are not paying tax, which is a government requirement, really. It's law. This is it. It's a common law. So therefore, why aren't they paying tax? Why are the biggest bankers tax exempt? Why is it when Barclays have been clearly seen as being fraudulent with Bob Diamond and such, where they've been fixing interest rates that there's no comeback. They pay a couple of million in compensation out, and they'll slap on the wrist, get back to work. They should be not allowed to operate within the boundaries of the UK again from what they've done, because what they've done is theft. It's stealing, and it's completely, it's gross what they've done. This Bob Diamond should be behind bars. Excuse me. But anyway, this Olympics, we're not going to break even on it, and the homeless rates are up, and it just doesn't seem like, government is serving the best interests of the people at the minute. Although if you're still asleep, you'll probably disagree and go, the Olympics is the best thing ever. I don't care if people lose their jobs as long as I'm in a job, and it's that type of thing, and that's got us in the doo-doo we're in. Moving on to other news, we have today a scientist, who's a Russian scientist, I believe, who's proven that DNA can be reprogrammed by words and frequencies. Now, this pertains to other work by a gentleman called Masaru Emoto, who was a doctor from Japan. But before we go into that, the scientists have now proven that DNA can be reprogrammed by frequency. Now, if you look at the Bible, for example, it talks about the beginning of the world. Now, God created the world in myth. He actually speaks the word, let there be light, and there was light, and God saw it was good. Yet these words are in the Bible. And basically what it's on about is the fact that God spoke. He manifested, he produced frequency, and that frequency manifested within reality. Yeah, and that's where basically my thinking is right at now, and a lot of the people who are looking beyond our sheeple science and sheeple way of being reprogrammed and brainwashed and keeping down in servitude, people who are waking up now are starting to believe that this could possibly be the case, as proven as well by a book written by a lady called Rhonda Byrne. Again, urge everybody to read it at least once. It's a book called The Secret, ties in with the law of attraction phenomenon, which indicates that we can, with enough energy and enough attention, to manifest our frequency, our intent, our will, to manifest itself as a reality within our understanding of what reality is, shall we say. So the scientists now proven this. Now, the fact that this is even coming out in the sheeple media is something else. This came out from a website called Before It's News, and it's by a gentleman called Zen Gardner. Now, what this other doctor did, Masaru Emoto, was he took water and he subjected water to frequencies, verbal speech, music, and he left stickers on the tank of the water which had messages on, such as "I hate you, I will kill you." When he flash freeze the water, when he looked at the molecules of the water could not form any basis of any particular shape. It was just a mush. It was the same for the word evil or Adolf Hitler. Now, before everyone starts sending emails about the Adolf Hitler thing, let me clear this up. In our psyche, our communal psyche, the word Adolf Hitler, personally for me, invokes images of mass death. It invokes pictures of concentration camps. It invokes pictures of war. It invokes pictures of dictatorship and military totalitarian rule. So this is what's been programmed to me. I never met Adolf Hitler. I don't know if this is true, because history is written by the victor. So we won't know. I mean, the news, the more people wake up, hopefully in the future, I hope to see it in my lifetime, we do actually find out exactly what actually took place within all of that Second World War, and again another false flag event. But digressing and moving on, this gentleman then did the same factors with positive emotions with water. Thank you, love and appreciation. I love you, I need you. You're the most beautiful thing in the world, so on and so forth. And the water then crystallized into patterns, geometric universal patterns, hexagons, and crystalline, like diamond. And basically the most beautiful things that you'd see, like in a snowflake. And this was all generated because this water was exposed to nothing but positive things. Now, if you notice, you're going to know people in your life that have been brought up with very nurturing parents who are constantly telling them that they're special and they're beloved and that they're the achievers in the world. They're the ones that go out there and are just totally supremely confident, and whatever they want, they go after it and attain it, because there's an old saying, it's where attention goes, energy flows. So wherever you put your attention, you can manifest your future. I know it sounds like hocus pocus, guys, but trust me, it works. And the other side of the coin is this Dr. Emoto had proven it, and now the Russian scientist has proven it. Basically, the guy who's the Russian scientific research director basically said the human DNA is a biological internet and superior in many aspects to the artificial one. Directly or indirectly, the Russian Scientific Institute explains that phenomena such as clairvoyance, intuition, spontaneous and remote acts of healing, self-healing, affirmation techniques, law of attraction techniques as well, in brackets, unusual light auras around people, namely spiritual masters, minds' influence on weather patterns, and much more in addition. There is evidence for a whole new type of medicine in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without cutting out and replacing single genes. So what they're saying basically is in the future we may not need to be opened up to cure cancers and so on and so forth. That frequency may be able to do it. Now I know they do use ultrasound and frequencies. Ultrasound's obviously for pregnancies, but there's also a technique for gallstones where they send sound waves through the body, and basically when the sound waves propagate and hit the gallstone, they shatter the stone up, they break up the mineral deposits that cause the gallstone. So therefore it's already in use, but it's also in our mythologies, it's in the Bible, it's basically it's in every creation myth that the word was spoken by the creator and the universe evolved. So it's one to keep in mind. Bit of a mind bender, but it's a good place to put your thoughts. Moving on to positive things, Los Alamos protests are taking place at the minute. Obviously, Los Alamos there, which is a nuclear facility and research centre. And basically, the people of Los Alamos have gone on hunger strike. Now, there's about 300 to 400 of them at the minute, including Mr. Charlie Sheen, who's infamous for his tiger blood sayings. But it also needs noting, guys, that Charlie Sheen was talking about this at the time when he was also telling Barack Obama to complain about 9/11. This man was targeted, possibly an MK Ultra patsy, stood on a rooftop drinking a bottle of fizzy pop, whatever it was, calling it tiger's blood. And has been notorious for his addictions in the past to certain substances. But the man's got a good heart and he does try and get out there, and he is a bit of an activist in that. I always found it quite strange because his show at the time, which was 2.5 Men, was getting the biggest ratings since Friends, and all of a sudden he's on a rooftop shop night full of tiger's blood and lost that show and lost all of his credibility and so on and so forth. So I don't think anyone with a brain would have done that. He was definitely under some form of control, I think, my opinion. Basically, the guys, the demands that they're calling for, the protesters are asking for basically these people to clean up their act, because they have been involved in numerous incidents where they have not had the public's general safety at heart. In fact, there's been fires that have come from Los Alamos which have lit up the surrounding forestry area there that you can see, and there is a small community not too far away from the basin that came within 1,000 yards of the functioning and living, breathing community there. So these protesters are out there. They've had enough of the globalist banks putting irradiated particles into the air, and now they're out there trying to get something done about it. And all hats off to you guys that are out there. May the universal consciousness bless you and give you enough power to manifest the future you need. Moving on to other news. Aurora's shootings back in the news again today. Mr. James Holmes. And a gentleman seems to have found a smoking gun within the story. Now, in relation to the smoking gun, what that means generally within a conspiracy theory is you find the linchpin that proves it was a fake or false flag event. So that seems to be the case here. These two stories, by the way, the Los Alamos story and the Aurora shooting, both come from Kerry Cassidy's blog, which is via the Project Camelot website. Again, I urge everyone to go over and check out what Kerry's doing there. I know she's doing the tour as well soon with the Awaken Aware European leg. Closest that's coming at the moment is Dublin, but I will post on the news site and the news show if it does actually hit the mainland of England, so it might be something that people want to check out. If you are awake and aware, or becoming awake and aware, should we say. Moving on to the story, the Aurora shooting smoking gun. Nighthawk, aka Mike, is the owner of radio station and host of the radio station, which is known as Revolution Radio. And he's been doing some digging and investigating into the Aurora, Colorado shootings. Today he sent me, Kerry Cassidy, the following audio excerpt from Aurora Police Radio, reporting 3 men in a car within a block of the shooter's home, dragging another man into the car just prior to the shooting. Now, the reason I put this image up of James Holmes before the event is this picture just depicts to me a normal gentleman on a summer's day in America, just got out of a shower, probably in a swimming pool, and he's smiling away, normal average guy. We also know about his connections with DARPA and mind control and stuff, so he was a patsy. He was another Lee Harvey Oswald, shall we say. And what's took place now is the image of him is this, which is, after the fact, red hair and looking completely and utterly disconnected to reality. Now, this radio report actually goes as follows. This has also been reported by David Wilcock as well, folks. If you want to check out David Wilcock's site, he's very much into the conscious universe theory and the activation of the pineal gland and so on and so forth. It's very, very interesting stuff if you are just waking up to the reality we live in. Nighthawk goes on to say, found out from an insider's contacts that James Holmes was not supposed to have ended up in court alive, pleading amnesia and looking totally disorientated. The cabal, meaning the dark cabal, the banking cabal, is horrified by the fact that this was a botched job, and so many people are waking up to the idea of mind control that it is becoming widely known within the public and the alternative media and the truth-seeking movement. This is only hastening their downfall. That was a quote by David Wilcox. Now, what's basically taking place is that you're going to find that the Dark Cabal probably wanted this man shot at the scene, killed, mortally wounded, and then there would be no one to put up in front of a jury and a judge. Unfortunately for them, someone didn't get the memo and did not end this man's life. So what actually took place with James Holmes is he survived. He was then put on trial for the world to see, trial by media within days of the atrocity being brought out in front of the families who've only just lost people, by the way, folks. Remember that. That pain is going to be absolutely raw. He was then shown. Now, let me just point out a point here. If you're going to bring a person who shot people with red hair into a trial, the first thing your lawyer's going to do is get you to dye your hair back to a normal colour, because they're not going to want the association that that red hair caused the stress and the grief for the people that were there in that cinema. What they're going to want is that dye your hair properly, get yourself into a suit, shave, do all of the regular stuff to bring you as at least presenting a presentable thing to say, basically, I wasn't the person who did the shooting, and that's where that lawyer should have gone down the route. Wouldn't you think? But hang on, no. What happened was he was brought into court within days, totally unshaven, with his hair still the red colour, wearing prison gowns, prison attire. Okay? So therefore, they wanted them to have the associated red hair with the shooting. They wanted, all the media wanted that. So it just shows you how corrupt the system is there, because no legality, no common law, no anything was in place there. That man was put on trial, and he was trialed by media. Now, I'm not saying this man didn't kill people, folks. I'm not all for this guy. But I just wanted you to know that in the law of any land that's a civilised or calls itself civilised, we should have due process and posse comitatus. Now, posse comitatus means you've got the right to representation and a fair trial by jury. This was not fair. It was no way fair. This man was put on the stage for the media to slaughter him. in front of the families who were raging and upset and grieving, in exactly the same hairdo that he had at the time of the shooting. Now, no one in the right mind, a lawyer or anyone else, would have had this man come and be seen like that. This man can't even speak his own name, by the way, because he's definitely under some mind control. And if you take a look at that picture on the bottom right and the picture at the top left, they're two different entities. They're not the same person. That man on the bottom right is totally vacant. He's totally devoid of any understanding or reasoning. There is nothing on that face. Nothing at all. This moves into further mind control. And now we do get mind control now. I'm a fairly big fan of the Black Ops and the Call of Duty franchise. I've been playing them for years. Now, basically what goes on with this is the artwork for the new game, which is the Black Ops 2 game. Now, in this, it shows you that the story unfolds that the American military have to turn against their own drones and their own technology because a foreign agent, possibly Iran, gets control of the codes to unlock the American system. And basically, that's what goes on. Funny that this ties in with news where the American military now admit that the computers were being hacked and so on and so forth. Whether it's an admission or whether it's another setup for another false flag, time will tell. So this is another one that's an amazingly wide open thing, guys. I'll leave it to your discretion to figure this one out, but I can't see any way this wasn't a false flag event. And this is how we're getting programmed, and we are being mind controlled into believing that, you know, this is normal. You've got children playing Call of Duty, 18 rated, but you're getting kids at 12 playing it. And the atrocities that they're seeing in the game, where you see people getting gunned down, children getting blown up, you name it, then they see it on the news as real, and they can't dissociate between the game and what's reality. Nothing affects them. They see a baby decapitated on the news. They just turn to the iPad, go on the GameCube, go on the Game Boy. Not interested. And again, this is where I was saying where the globalists have been a victim of their own success, because they've disassociated people so much from reality and suspended belief so much that when they need people to stand up in arms, like say, oh my God, Syria, let's go in there and save the people, which is another false flag event, people aren't that bothered, they're only interested in themselves. And that's all it is. Another news, we've got the Iranian Ayatollah claiming that there may be war within weeks. The Ayatollah has come out and said that the US through Israel, are in Iran, and they're using Al-Qaeda to further the UN globalist and US globalist aims. Basically what's going on here, guys, is they've put Al-Qaeda in Iran to form a splinter cell of militia against the Assad regime. Now what's taking place there also is, then they were saying, oh, you know, get behind Al-Qaeda, they're the good guys now. Well, yet they did blow up the two towers and kill the hundreds and hundreds of people, but don't worry about that, forget that now. What we want you to do is get behind Al-Qaeda, right? They tried all sorts of stuff in manipulating media within Syria, manipulating the whole situation within Syria, but it didn't take off. So then they had to move to a new one, which is this. Al-Qaeda have took over in Iran, and the US needs to go over there and eradicate them because they blew the two towers up. They're changing the story every other day, guys. And if we are that freaking stupid that we're going to sit there and go, oh, I see, yeah, you know, then you deserve everything that's coming, folks. I'm afraid, because if you sit there in apathy and you can't see what is being conveyed to you through sheeple media, then I'm afraid it's whatever's coming you deserve, guys. This next one here, this proves what the papers of the world are doing. This was posted in most Western tabloids. What it is, it's a photoshopped image. You've got a guy with his daughter or his son in a blanket, and obviously his wife, because in that part of the world, obviously they have to cover the faces up. This gentleman's just simply walking past the wall. He's just walking. But the press of the world have gone and walking past a bombed out block of apartments and flats. Right? This is from a German publication. And basically what it was saying is that there's been noted and concerted efforts from the powers that be to actually make the people of the world believe that this is an atrocity. Okay? This is the original picture, and this is your photoshopped image. And that's the image you're seeing, folks, by the way. You're not seeing the real picture, apart from alternative media such as So Like News and so on and so forth. You're not getting these images. And when you see these images, you have to ask yourself, oh, hang on a minute. Photoshop. False. Lies. This is what it's about. This info comes from Infowars.com, the Alex Jones website. The article is written by a gentleman called Paul Joseph Watson. And basically it goes on to say, Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah, told top Iranian military official chiefs to expect war within weeks at a recent War Council meeting, according to Israeli news outlet Deb Kafal, which again is about media. While retaliation has been exhaustively drilled in regular military exercises in the past year, the Ayatollah ordered the biggest fortification project in Iran's history to save its nuclear program from even the mightiest of American superweapons. So basically what's happening is they want their nuclear power. They've said basically it's for power for the country. Do we have a right to say that they're going to make bombs with it? And would they fire them? Is Iran at war with anyone at the minute? You know, would they use them? Have Iraq got nuclear weapons? Israel, sorry. Yes, they have. Have Iranian people got the right to arm themselves with nuclear weapons to form a deterrent? A nuclear deterrent against an aggressive enemy in Israel? Of course they have. Of course they have. Everyone has the right to protect the citizenry and the people. Whichever. If you want to make nuclear weapons and have a deterrent, then fine. So hang on. It's an Israeli problem, but hang on, is the US now. And America and the UN have now come in and said, oh, you're going to make bombs. Okay? Iran aren't at war with anyone. America's at war with about 20 different countries. So who are they to go around policing the world? They're the ones who are invading the countries, folks. They're the ones who just deposed Mubarak in Egypt. They're the ones who caused the riots in Egypt. They're the ones who, NASA photographed 17 pyramids under the sands of Egypt. Subterranean. All of a sudden, within 6 months, there's an uprising of the people. And Mubarak's thrown out. The Ministry of the Antiquities there is thrown in jail for next to nothing. And still languishes in the jail now, which is not more than a gulag, a political prison. And he's there now serving time because what? They found pyramids. Oh, hang on, sorry. Within the 6 months, I forgot to mention, the American military were in there digging in the areas NASA found the pyramids. Ho. Never mind. It's occupation by technology. It's occupation by media. Goes on to say that the Iranian people and the Iranian military are threatened to close the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is basically a bottleneck where 33% of the world's oil comes through. This would choke the Western world completely if this was closed off. Basically, the United States responded by sending underwater sea drones that could find and destroy the mine to prevent Iran from being able to block the strait. The US aircraft carriers Eisenhower and Enterprise have remained stationed within the waters surrounding Iran, supported by several smaller attack ships. So basically what's happening is you've now got the Russians sending attack ships in as well. The Chinese are looking at mobilising their forces within the purview of this conflict, and you look at the Russians doing the same. All of this is going to get dirty quick. Okay, and the reason Iran now is going to be top of the agenda on your BBC sheeple media is because the Syrian agenda has fell on its backside for images that you can see there, which are photoshopped clearly to make the sheeple out there go, bah, oh yeah, I'm on board, let's get rid of Syria. Bah. Incredible, folks, we need to wake up to it. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for today. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch the show. It's always gratifying to know that there are people out there that do want to make a difference, that are looking to change their own paradigms and belief systems and accepting more spiritual ways of doing things, guys. As always, I leave you with peace and love until tomorrow's newscast. Take the very best of care and have the most fantastic day ever. You can still contact the show and the news show on soul-light@hotmail.com.co.uk. Or criticism and any suggestions to make the show better. Muchly appreciated, and it does go forward to making us deliver the news and the globalist agenda to you guys in a more presentable way. Thank you for your time and the mast.